right. Well, for those of you that do not know me, my name is Mike Vakula, and I am a PhD student in the Department of Kinesiology here at Utah State. Um, and today I wanted to, or I guess for this seminar, I wanted to present on a few things, or my biggest takeaways from this one-year course I took on effective teaching this previous year, and just like the things I introduced into my classroom that made the biggest difference, or that students were commenting about in my feedback. So, okay, so real quick, the biggest things I changed in my classroom after taking the course was developing an orientation module, organizing my learning management system a bit differently, and then when I'm making assignments, making sure my guidelines are very transparent, and then also using course data and feedback to better mentor my students. So real quick about ACUE. So ACUE is the Association of College and University Educators, and they have this year-long course that consists of these various modules here. And in the end, you get a certificate in effective college teaching that's recognized by the American Council on Education. And I know there's a few people in the department currently enrolled in this, or at least one person. And yeah, it's a really great course. If you ever get the chance to take it, or you're looking to expand your teaching, this is a cool course. But anyway, enough about that. I want to start with a quick question. So when you're preparing for the semester, like we all did recently, what steps do you take to ensure your students are prepared to start your course? So what do you do to make sure your students are ready on the first day of class or for the first week of class? So take a second, think about it, or when you have an answer, go ahead and shout it out or type it in the chat. I'd like to hear from some people. What do you do, if anything?
Mike, I hate to say it, I'm drawing a little bit of a blank. I guess I'll try to make sure they log into Canvas, they can access Canvas. It's, I guess, a starting point for me here.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Nate says he sends out an email before class to start, introduce himself, and he makes a short video. That's good. Anyone else?
I had to do quite a bit only in this one class, the biomechanics class that I used to teach for many years, was letting them know that the course requires them to participate in the class. I found that students were actually shocked when I would have them participate in the class. So ahead of time, I let them know they have to participate. So I tried to get them prepared that way. I don't know if that's what you're asking, but that's one.
Yeah, you're setting some expectations, it sounds like. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, those are all really good answers. And I can tell you what my answer would have been before taking this course, and it was nothing. I showed up to the first day, and that's when I started preparing my students. So they showed up to class, maybe they looked through Canvas, maybe they saw the syllabus if they're overachievers and logged in, but for the most part, I wasn't really doing anything. And that was the first thing that the ACUE course made me realize I needed to change. And the first change I made was developing an orientation module, but it first started with sending out a welcome message to the students, just like Nate said he does. So this is just a quick email. I sent it out a few days before class, just setting expectations really quick, what to expect on the first day of class. And then maybe quickly introducing the syllabus or any technology help you might have to offer. Like if you know a bunch of your students are new to Canvas, you might need to introduce them to some Canvas resources or something like that. So that was the first thing I did, quick email. I thought it was a nice way just to let students know what's up before they even arrive to class. And then the next thing I did was create a syllabus activity. So this was really great to help students understand how to take part in the course, acknowledge the course requirements, and learn where to access course resources. So you can ask awesome questions in this activity, like, if you need help with Canvas, where do you seek help? Because it's not the instructor, right? So you make sure they know where to go, or they know when things are due. Like one of the questions I had made sure students know when assignments were due each week. So just a way for them to at least acknowledge that they know when things are due or how your course is operating somewhat. Then the next thing I did was create a quick introduction forum. And this is definitely more important for an online course than an in-person course, but it can be used in either. So this is a great way to start cultivating the learning community within your classroom, allowing opportunity for students to get to know each other early on in the course, and also a chance for the instructor to understand who their students are and their backgrounds. So this is a lot of times you do this in person in class, but if you are teaching online or maybe a mixed course, having it on Canvas might be the right way to go. And then here's kind of what you were talking about, Adric, setting clear expectations of how to interact in the course. And so for my course, it was online, so I wanted to make sure students had some really clear expectations on how to participate in discussion forums, since it was an essential element of the course. And so I actually I took these from the ACUE course, but then we also had a quick discussion about them in class to see if students wanted to add any or modify these. So you can get their voice in there too. So these rules could be modified to in-person or online, but just some basic respect guidelines for your course or how they should be responding, right? All right, so moving on from the orientation module, I want to do another quick call out to the audience, and I want you to think of the best learning management system like you ever had in class. How was that set up? And how was the worst class you ever had learning management system set up? So I mean like learning management system as in Canvas. Like how did the instructor set up Canvas for their students? What was the worst thing you ever have seen someone do? What was the best? And what I want everyone to do is think of their best and worst. We'll take a few minutes. I want you to type your answer into the chat box, but I want you to wait a second until I tell everyone to press enter and we'll all respond at once. So go ahead and think of some answers. If you're in the group, you can think, pair, share, and then do one answer if you like to. And if you just have a best or worst example, that's fine. Just try to put like best and then your comment and then worst and then your comment if you could. Oh, Adric, you're going out of turn. All right, quick show of hands. Does everyone need a minute or two more to respond?
1 or 2 minutes here, Mike, if you don't mind.
Okay. Yeah.
A couple minutes, yeah.
Sweet. All right, 1 more minute and then we're all gonna submit at once. So there's no awkwardness.
Yeah, don't do what I did. I just clicked enter right after. I'm setting the example of what not to do.
Trigger
No,
finger.
you're all good. It's just like a technique I learned recently that I thought was actually pretty good to actually get a lot of responses. Sarah, you guys good? All right. So in the countdown, or I'm gonna count down to 3 and then press enter. And let's see everyone's responses. So 3, 2, 1, enter. All right. Let's take a look at these. All right, so we have some clear weekly modules as being best. Nate's talking about weekly breakdowns, forced completion of one section before moving to the next. Worst when it's just not used. Linked resources, assignments. Sweet. Oh, the worst. Yeah, this is a good one, Sarah. The dump approach, everything in one giant pile. Best, opposite, nice and organized. Carlos, inconsistent formats, different descriptions for quizzes, assignment discussions, deadlines. Oh, this is great. Yeah, Carlos, this is a great answer. Yeah, so I'm sure we've all experienced some of these things as students or as teachers. Setting up Canvas is no easy task, and it takes time, but I think if you do take the time to set it up beforehand, students really appreciate it. And on campus, we do have great resources. If you have an idea of how you want your Canvas set up, you don't have to do any of the technology. If you just take it over to our assigned instructional designer I think in ETE or in ETE, they can do it for you real quick. But anyway, yeah, I think the biggest thing I learned from the ACUE course was just how to organize my course a bit better and how to lay everything out so students know how to find things easier and they know when things are expected of them. So the first thing I did to organize my course was just think about it from a student's point of view. And starting with the homepage, I made sure any resources I thought I might need as a student in the course were easily accessible. So I had to start here page, the syllabus was right there, Canvas help, so on and so forth. So the homepage, really easy, but the biggest thing was how I actually organized the modules. So ACUE kind of used a very similar layout where they actually broke the modules into individual sections where you had like an engage section where you introduce the topic for the week. And then you introduce the learning objectives with a short video, like 2 minutes, just introducing the topics for the week. Then you moved on to a listen, watch, learn section where you had short demonstrations of the different topics, whether it be from YouTube videos or your own videos, or this was obviously for an online class, but you could draw elements for this for your in-person class as well. And then, learning resources. This is where students could go to find things like textbook chapters, PDFs of articles, or podcasts, additional things like that about the topics for the week. And then finally, I had a lab where students actually had to spend time interacting with the material for the week. And it was worth points rather than just like, hey, practice these questions. They actually had to submit something. And then I finished up having them do a 1-minute survey, which we'll talk about here at the end. So yeah, students just knew with this layout what to expect week to week. Things were due consistently. They knew where to find their resources if they needed to go back a chapter. They knew which tab to instantly click on to find what they were looking for. The next thing I did was develop an actual navigation tutorial to show and explain to students how to find these resources, how the class works week to week. So this was actually a part of my orientation module, but it's a part of how I organized the course as well. And then I mentioned this earlier, but it's not necessarily how you organize the course, but this is more about if you can offer your students choice in the learning resources you offer them. This got so many positive comments from students. Let's say on a topic, I would include a textbook chapter, a YouTube video, and then I would try to also have them interact with a podcast or something like that on the topic each week. And this, yeah, the students really like this. And same thing, if you can introduce different choices for assignments, like at least allowing students a choice in which article they're going to read for an assignment, or maybe allowing them to submit a video rather than a paper, or an audio file rather than a discussion post, something like that. So yeah, if you can offer students choice, it often motivates the students a bit more, and it helps them be a little bit more creative too. So moving on from there, is there any questions about kind of organizing your LMS or anything like that? And if you have questions at the end, we can come back, but all good.
Hi, Mike.
Oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Hi, this is Debasri, and I'm a faculty and I teach Master of Public Health courses. Maybe this is a question that should be towards the end, but I wanted to learn a little bit more when you did assignment types and you gave choices, whether it's a paper, it's a video, how did that translate to a common rubric? Because our program is going through accreditation or will be seeking accreditation soon. So one of the requirements is that we have a set rubric. So I'm very curious, like how would that work? Because how we would score a video, to my understanding, would be different from a written paper. So maybe this, that's why I was thinking it's towards
Yeah, I guess like if you were going to do a video versus something written, maybe I was thinking more of like on a discussion post, you could respond to a discussion with a video rather than typing it up, right? And I feel like you could grade those very similarly because you're grading on the response rather than this 5-page paper they're submitting. It's very concise. But yeah, I'm sure you could do it, but you might have to have slightly different criteria per if you were going to do a big paper or a big like video submission project. But yeah, it would take some time to create, but I think you could.
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion to just give these choices more in terms of smaller, low stakes assignments as opposed to like a bigger paper. And
yeah, totally. But you have to think about like in a discussion, right? Like right now we're discussing something, we're not typing it up, right? So allowing students to do that, even if it's an asynchronous, could be a different way to do a discussion too. You might get a better response from them if they're more comfortable talking than writing. So yeah, in a discussion it could work, but you're right. You're absolutely right. In a big end of the semester project, that would be very tricky to do, but you could at least allow them some choice over what they're doing for the project, right? So
yeah,
I think it depends on what the purpose of the project is too, right? If part of it is that you have to have in your rubric that it's writing, that they're going to have, then you obviously can't have them do a video. But if the writing piece is, it's more about communicating that they understand the concept and the topic, making a video might be more challenging even. And so you could evaluate it based on how well they cover the content, how well they communicate that out. If the writing piece isn't important.
totally. I agree. Yeah, but it would be tricky if you were trying to grade maybe off the same criteria, depending on the topic. So cool. Well,
thanks, Mike.
yeah, well, we can talk about it later too, but let's move on to the next section for now. So this is on assignments, so kind of right in line with what we were talking about. So one of the big suggestions that one of the big changes I made was breaking my assignments into a more manageable task. So we've all done a research assignment, right, where we have to write, a multi-page paper. We have to synthesize a bunch of resources, and then we have to locate these resources, synthesize them, and then write about them and cite them. That's a big task, right? It's a huge task. And when we assign these tasks like this to our students, which is very common, especially in the master's level or even an upper level graduate class or upper level bachelor classes, research assignments like this are very common, and we assume our students know how to do every step in the task. And so one thing I did was step back from the research assignment like this and think about the tasks individually, and actually broke up the assignment into 3 different parts rather than have them do it all at once, so I could ensure they knew how to do each part. So the first part I did was I had students just read an article and synthesize it. And I showed them how I personally did it, and then had an example for them. And then they had articles to choose from. They went out, read it, synthesized it in one paper. The next step, the next assignment, I had them actually just learn how to go out and use search engines and locate related articles, and then find 5 related articles to a topic, and then write, you know, a quick synthesis of each one related to the main topics of the papers. And then the final task was learning how to actually cite the papers and then write all of their synthesis into one research assignment. So breaking up your assignments, I thought it was a really useful thing for bigger tasks like this. And then you get to actually spend time with your students on each individual task, making sure they know how to do it. And like I said, in each step of the process, it's really essential that you model what this looks like for your students. So when I was synthesizing an article, I just made a video of myself thinking out loud of how I synthesized it. Then I went out and found videos from other people that had done similar things. Our library at USU has amazing resources on this. Our librarian actually helped me set up our own page for this course that was dedicated to these assignments. So there's great resources out there for your students. You don't have to make videos necessarily. If you can just go out and find them and share them with your students on how to do our academic processes, that's great. And then this layout of transparent assignments I got from ACUE, and I thought it was really great because it breaks down the purpose, task, skills required, and criteria for success of the assignment, as well as providing an example to the students so they know what you're looking for in the assignment. So not only does this very clearly state what you're looking for, but it also gives students a rationale on why they're doing it and the skills they're going to gain from the task. And then I'm sure some of us do this already, but using a rubric is something I think is great and more people should do. Just for teaching, it makes it so much easier to grade because you're very objective. And then as a student, students know exactly what to expect. So this was my rubric for my discussion post. It's really simple, you know, post before the due date, fully respond, and then respond to your peer. So really simple, but at least students know it's there and I can just quickly go through and grade it. All right, any questions about assignments or modeling tasks for your students or breaking assignments?
Mike, one thing, I can't remember which teaching thing I attended that talked about this, but one thing that was really similar to what you've done. One thing they said is make sure that in your like big assignments, you've done everything, like that there's not any implicit sort of knowledge in those assignments. So one thing I do is a final project in that measurement and evaluation course. And I give them the project. I say, here's your data set that we've collected. It's similar to what you guys did, right? So like you have a class data set and I say, come up with a question, do the analysis and write it up. So we've done the analysis in class, but we never practiced coming up with questions and we never practiced writing about it. So what I'm trying to do this semester is, as part of their homework, have them write, like we'll have them come up with a question, like here's the data set, practice coming up with a question. And then also here's your data, practice writing it as if you were trying to explain it to somebody. So hopefully that will help a little bit, but yeah, I never even thought about the fact that we hadn't even practiced half of that assignment yet.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think as teachers, we often assume our students know a whole lot. Like I was teaching the mountain bike course the other day and I assumed the kid on the $12,000 bike, you know, knew what trail etiquette was, but he had no idea. So, you know, you can't always assume your students know everything. So at least providing them your process of how you would do the assignment is a great way to start off at. All right, so last topic, and then we can talk about whatever you guys want. But this is the last thing I changed in my course. Big topic was using course data and feedback to better mentor my students. And I'm sure a lot of you know this, but in Canvas, you can see if students are logging into your course, how often they're engaging with material. If you post a video through your media page on Canvas, you can see if students are viewing it, how long they're actually watching the videos for, and that's course specific too. So yeah, you can get good feedback on that. And then this is the one I probably use the most, is you can see if people have yet to submit an upcoming assignment, and then you can quickly email students who have yet to submit assignments. So it's a really quick feature. You can access it through the gradebook, but I've done this so many times, and every time there's at least 1 or 2 students that's like, thank you so much, I totally forgot about it. And it's just, I feel like it's a little nice thing you can do as a teacher to help remind students about upcoming due dates. And so the 1-minute survey, this was something I also picked up directly from ACUE, and I mentioned it briefly earlier as a part of my modules. But at the end of each module, I had students just quickly fill out this 1-minute survey. So it's just 3 questions. The first one, what was most clear, helpful, or meaningful in this module? And here, a lot of times, students would, I wouldn't get a lot of valuable answers here necessarily, but the next question, unclear. So what concepts or ideas from this module unit are still unclear? So a lot of times here, this was a chance for me to connect with my students either on a one-on-one basis when there was an issue that they didn't quite understand or something I needed to clear up, or when I got a really common response at the end of each module from this question. Like, let's say I explained something really poorly, or everyone wanted to know more about this one topic. This was a call out for me to make another video or bring this up in class and make sure everyone is on the same page about it, or take it a step further with everyone. And then finally, the last question was comments, insights, and questions. So what additional comments, insights, or questions do you have about this module, concepts, or ideas? And here it was surprising what I would get. Some people would help me edit my course and give me spell corrections, which was awesome. Some people would give personal insights on what they could do better as a student to learn the material. It was really cool. But I also got all this feedback personally as a teacher, but all of this feedback on what I can do to improve the course moving forward. And sometimes students would just go through and say, everything was all good to every single answer, and they still got the points. I just graded it 2 points. They submitted it, they got it. It counted as their participation in an asynchronous online course. But I thought this was a really easy thing to add in to give yourself a lot of feedback, but then also to improve the course going forward. So that's all I kind of had today, but I was curious to know what one strategy covered in this session you can see yourself implementing into your classroom. And I'll just leave the floor open and we can talk about anything from here. I can pull up examples of anything we talked about from my course, but yeah, the rest of the time is ours.
I guess I'll chime in real quick. I love that survey for participation, and it gives great insight about, maybe something you have missed or something you can expand on. I could definitely see myself implementing that. So that would be one. One question I guess I have, this is maybe more philosophical. I think back, historically in teaching, and you think of like the 1600s and the Renaissance, where they would give lectures and people would, they learned. And I feel now we do so much to help people learn, but yet people did a really good job learning early on. What do you think? Where's the tilting point where we're giving too much for them and, making it almost too easy and they don't become independent learners?
That's a tough one.
Yeah, I actually got some feedback from a class. I think I asked them, I'm teaching this big connections class. So like before the next class, I'm asking them things and then I'm summarizing it before the next class. And I asked them, what have teachers done to help you? And a couple responses really shocked me. Like a couple responses were basically putting all of the responsibility on the teacher to teach them. And that's the whole point of the connections class, right? To sort of reframe their thinking about that. But it was really interesting to me that they sort of said, you know, a lot of teachers don't help me learn. I can't even summarize like exactly what they said, but it was really interesting. I almost wonder if all of this stuff that we're doing takes the responsibility off the student a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a good answer for that one.
I think something that's been challenging for me is seeing that a lot of times I have my learning management system can get in the way, right? Whereas I remember taking graduate courses and having all these packets that we would go and photocopy of like, I think there was 100 papers that we went in and he basically said, hey, they're in the front office, you go make your own copies of them, or you go search them out and on your own. And I spent at a photocopy machine probably 2 hours just getting all my sources together. And then I helped him put those into what they used back then. It was before Blackboard even, into a learning management system, and just had him listed. And he followed his same syllabus. So I don't know. I'm on the fence of, I don't want my management system to prevent them from finding stuff. And I've seen times when I've put stuff together and it didn't make sense because I didn't walk through it from their perspective. And so when they couldn't find a particular paper that they were supposed to have read for class, it's hard to get mad at them when I'm the one who hid it in a folder that was called readings. And I had actually put the date on it, but if they didn't click into that folder, they wouldn't know how to find it. So I don't know, there were some benefits to having everything paper copy and having just regular textbooks. And some of the changes we make to make things easier on them sometimes are more tedious, right? Like my online open educational resource books are tedious to find, and you have to log into certain things to get into them. And if I don't organize it well, they're not going to access them because it's hard to find them.
Yeah, I guess maybe you could, I guess something I try to do is I give my students a lot of different resources, and they don't necessarily have to use one or the other, they can choose, but I make them go and recall and seek information from those resources and respond to something. So I guess I'm giving them the resources, but they do have to go out and interact with them and learn from them. But yeah, we have all the information at our fingertips now, so it's so tough. You could learn anything on your cell phone. How about anyone else?
I was gonna say that it basically what Adric and Bree said, that it strikes me when I look at some of the rubrics that we use, and they basically spell out how to structure your assignments and stuff. And it almost seems like the more specific you get, the more information, the more guidance you're giving people, when at some degree you hope that they already know that some of the stuff should be contained in some of the assignments that they do. And I guess echoing, it seems like there's a continuum and a trade-off here, where the easier you hand it to them, the less they're expected to figure it on their own, the less that they need to worry about or be organized in the class, which are essential skills to anything, versus should they be penalized for not having those skills in that particular class? Should the learning only be narrowed right down to the specific, and I'm going to say facts associated with that content, but none of the peripheral stuff like organization, how to write, how to organize an essay. And it's interesting because I when you asked the question earlier about the learning management system, And I was trying to think of things, and I could think of what I've seen at USU, but my mind automatically went back to when I was doing undergrad and stuff, and nobody used learning management systems. It was all papers and stuff like that. And the difference between what it's like now, where we're trying to curate almost a Coursera course as well as teach the class, versus photocopying a bunch of pieces of paper and handing it to them, and the differences between those, for better or worse. But it's an interesting topic, I think. I don't know if I have a point to all this. I just kind of rambled on, but it's an interesting topic.
Yeah, what a question, Adric.
Sorry about that. Yeah, what I remember had a class. This was again before learning management systems, and we were using overheads, and the instructor just started off. They said, "I am a facilitator. I'm a faculty. I'm not here to spoon feed you." And I always remember the person getting the first day of class saying that you're going to learn on your own. And yeah, so it really stuck with me. And I actually did learn a lot on my own that class, because I had no other choice, sink or swim. And so I sometimes think of that. And I always think of these great lecture halls of what it was like to watch Socrates, or someone, not Socrates maybe, but someone in a big lecture hall, giving a presentation, and how genuinely enthusiastic people were all, because they just wanted to learn. The excitement of wanting to learn, I think, is the thing that if we could implement that, if we get students who just truly want to discover and truly want to learn, then maybe we don't need any of this. They would learn it. So I always think about that. How could we get them to just have that intrinsic motivation to want to learn? I think that's so cool. That's why I love our profession.
Agreed. All right, well, if I don't have anything else to share, but if anyone else wants to talk about anything, we certainly can, but I don't want to keep you on Friday.
I posted in the chat, if other people are interested in applying to the ACUE program, I think I posted the link there as well, but you can go in and apply to do it as well. And I also posted the link to our city course designer too. So if you want to help, like just having them go through and check it, or a set Canvas page, they're awesome.
Yeah, there's so many good resources at ET, so I would agree.
Nice job, Mike.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming, guys, on Friday. Hopefully you have some fun weekend plans ahead. But all right, who's presenting next, Sarah? Oh, Sarah's audio's out.
No wonder you're quiet, Sarah. I know we always get a good question out of you.
All right, we'll see.
All right. Well, I think we're chiming out.
All right, sounds good. Sarah, your question's gonna get reverted to an email, I think.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. Have a good weekend, everyone. Talk to you later.